All the other differences, even though historically some people made a lot of them, don't really matter. Going through the documents is actually kind of funny. So one of the controversies between the East and the West was that we use unleavened bread in the Eucharist. People got crazy over that, folks. Using unleavened, or beards. Kid you not. In the Orthodox churches, priests cannot shave. It's a difference at one point in time in our history made a big deal. Now today, hopefully cooler heads would prevail. Those wouldn't be communion barring issues.
I'm still not shaving.
But there you go. If the kids are we done?
Not yet. These are the older kids.
Oh,
The
okay.
younger kids are still
Just
there.
watch your language.
So I can use, well, if you want to, in other words, lay off the Greek and Latin. We're sick of that. Any other questions, comments? Yes, Father.
I thought the Orthodox, the Eastern Church, in some regards, that's in union with the Pope, but they are so Trinitarian in a sense in their liturgies.
Yes.
They are constantly doing everything 3 times. That extends the liturgy a great deal. They bless 3 times. They sometimes conclude a prayer several times. So in that sense, it's very Trinitarian because they're always calling on the Father, Son, and Spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
And there are many little things. It happens to be a sort of, I don't want to say some field, but something of which I care about. One of my best friends is a Greek Orthodox priest. So it started personal and became sort of theological. My interest of potential union between the Orthodox churches and the Catholic Church. But speaking of that may be an eschatological hope or concept, the reunion of the 2 churches. But again, you started by mentioning JP2, who referred to it as, the 2 lungs, Christianity's two lungs in the East and the West. So that's most certainly something I pray for. Any other further questions?
Is there also, are there also problems now within the Orthodox Church as far as union goes, the Russian Orthodox?
Yeah.
So, they've got a problem themselves, their own.
It is an obstacle for them. As a matter of fact, I was at a conference it was an Orthodox conference, but I was there because of my interest. And I went to one paper, and as a shorthand for the Catholic Church and the Orthodox churches, the presenter of the paper kept saying Rome and Constantinople, right? Rome and Constantinople. And so at the end of the presentation, I raised my hand, and I say, I loved your presentation. I thought it was very informative as well as potentially constructive. Where does Moscow fit in? And all the Orthodox scholars looked in around and were like, oh, the Catholic kid knows his stuff. So they have problems intercommunally, and not incidental ones either. So I don't know if any of you knew this, 2 summers ago. So we in the Catholic West kept on having these councils. I mentioned to you 8 of them happened in the period of Christian unity, roughly the first millennium. We kept having them in the West, so we had 21. They didn't in the East. Their first council, depending upon how you number it, some think in the 12th century they might have had one after the first original 8. But let's say for the first time since around the year 800, the Orthodox churches had a council 2 summers ago in Crete. It was the first time they had it since the year 800. Moscow didn't show up. It was in planning for years, and then at the last minute, something happens between the churches, and sadly, Moscow didn't attend. So yeah, it's a real down-to-earth concern that if you don't have a visible person who symbolizes the unity of the church and has this mandate to see to the good of the whole church, right? There are real problems with communion. There are real problems with communion. And again, okay, so we are at time. And I'll leave you with this, I often say, since we got on the role of the Pope in the church. But remember, So the Pope has a duty, a mandate to oversee the good of the whole church. He's not in charge of all the particular churches. Who's the head of the Catholic Church in Maine? Bishop Dealey, yes. So is it Bishop Dealey and the Pope? No, the Pope isn't in charge of Rome and Maine and Rio de Janeiro. The Pope has a mandate to the universal church, to the whole church, not all of the particular local churches. So the head of the Catholic Church in Maine is Bishop Dealey, right? The Pope has this mandate over the entire church. Okay. Thanks for having me. My concern over percentages aside, I hope you enjoyed the presentation.